Hey, you're back for part 3 of the Maker Comet Monthly Challenge. Welcome! Today we're looking at polymer clay. My experiment for this part of the challenge was to mix polymer clay and acrylic paint to see what might happen. My conclusion? It's messy. You might want to wear gloves. Messiness aside, I wanted to see if the sparkly gold color would come through the translucent clay that I decided to mix it in with. Spoiler alert, it doesn't, not really. I also tried to mix in a non-sparkly acrylic paint, in this case, brown. This was so messy. I really recommend wearing gloves. I started off molding the clay with a form that was much too large for this task, so I switched to a smaller one instead and decided to mold some tiny bricks. I also had the brilliant, not so brilliant idea to bake these using a heat gun, so decided to try rolling out some uniformly thin clay as a test to see how it would bake using this method. Spoiler alert, it doesn't end well. A number of things went wrong during this whole process, from the tinier pieces flying out of their protective foil tray, to me melting the varnish on my desk, which you can see as the glossy shiny spot forming underneath the foil boat. Lesson learned, just bake your clay. It's a lot easier and probably a lot less hazardous. I also noticed some weird imperfections, especially in the thinner pieces, which probably came from uneven heating. Lastly, I wanted to try using translucent liquid Sculpey, which I've seen a lot of other clay artists use. I decided to use the translucent liquid Sculpey, or TLS as it's known as an icing over my bricks, which looked like donuts. I achieved something that looked like chocolate frosting by mixing the TLS with a bit of brown clay, and then spreading that on top of a brick. I achieved something that looked a bit more like jam or thin icing by mixing the TLS with chalk pastel. Finally, I tested just plain TLS on half of a brick, and then on the other half, I mixed TLS with acrylic paint. After this application, all of the pieces were baked again, not using a heat gun, but my actual oven. And now for the final results. TLS dries to a semi-gloss to matte finish. Here we see the pink, which looks a bit like a sugar icing. Next up is the brown clay mixed with TLS. It baked a lot darker than when it was first mixed up. Last up, we have the acrylic paint mixed with TLS, and this one was the most surprising. It took on the appearance of a buttercream icing and was slightly flexible. The plain TLS was very translucent, almost invisible, but still looked a little bit like sugar icing. So all in all, this was a successful experiment and a lot of fun to play with some materials that I wasn't as familiar with. I hope you all are having as much fun as I am in this challenge, and I will be back soon with another video of my progress. See you soon!